The first over-the-air update is out for the Jolla Mind2 with Venho 0.3.0, and I'm going to be taking a look at everything that's new or working in this update. And if you aren't already familiar with the local first, privacy first AI computer called the Jolla Mind2, then be sure to head down to the description and check out my first look video that I did on an early version of the device. As I was on such an early build of the software during my first look, there were some aspects of the user experience that weren't quite ready. So alongside talking about the update, I'm going to be showing off those areas of the user experience, and to top it all off, I'm actually going to be covering the patch notes from a PDF I'm going to be uploading to the Jolla Mind2 itself. So let's dive right in. The first thing I'm going to do is head on over to the Documents Center for my default context, so I could highlight a nice change that they've done since my early build I was using and the 0.2.0 build that was shipped on consumer devices. Then I'm going to head on over to the conversation view. I'm going to click on the attachment button, and I'm going to be uploading a small PDF with the Venho 0.3.0 release notes, which we'll use in the memory-based chat as well. Now, one of the things that received a ton of work in this update was the processing of documents and the updating of the UI, both in this view as well as the documents. It's not 100% consistent. For example, it might not immediately show that it's been processed, but it'll still indicate that it's been queued, but it's much better now. Additionally, the Document Center actually updates to show the document that you've uploaded, so you don't have to go back out of the documents view and then go back in like in 0.2.0 for it to appear. So that's really nice as well. So let's just go ahead and dive right in the patch notes. So I'm going to go over here, I'm going to click on this expansion, and as you can see, it is right here. Now, there's a lot of text here, but let's really break it down into three different sections. So you have documents, you have mail, which we'll get into later, and we have various usability improvements. So when it comes to documents, the key thing is that document vectorization has been improved for better chat with memory results. And there's been a lot of fixes around upload handling and the upload view itself. There's been performance improvements to data processing, and there's just been a lot of overhauls and improvements, including delete functionality, which we'll also demo as well. Related to mail, there has been a massive overhaul to the messaging center and mailboxes, IMAP, SMTP service handling. As a result of these improvements, more common providers like Gmail actually work now. Before, it was mostly hit and miss when it came to provider support. I had tested it with Gmail, Outlook, and Zoho, and unfortunately only Zoho actually worked at that time, but that's all been fixed, and I'm actually using a Gmail account for demonstration purposes. IMAP and SMTP accounts are now stored on the backend. They indicate that it's unencrypted for now, and to be clear, when it means backend, it doesn't mean some cloud server halfway across the country or continent or on a completely different continent. It means on the back end on your device. So it's not as big of a deal, especially given the Jolla Mind2 is encrypted, but I imagine this is something that they are going to be improving down the road. And for some additional context, the credentials were actually originally stored in local storage in your browser, which also made it a bit fun if you use multiple web browsers or multiple web browsers on multiple operating systems like I do. And it made for some interesting bugs, and that's all been remedied now, which is really great. And then in terms of usability improvements, there's actually, and I know it's a bit hard to see, and I'll zoom in editing, to the indication down in the bottom right-hand corner, but there is now a version indicator, which is really great. Even though the process is manual for updating the Venho software on the Jolla Mind2 at the moment, it's still nice to see that when it's actually successful. There's been better handling of uploads and live updates, as we just saw in documents and in the messaging center view. There's been general improvements to system services and stability, improvements to context management and functionality, and a bunch of their quote-unquote window manager bug fixes. So that was a lot to go through, let's be honest. So maybe let's actually just leverage our memory-based chat to ask the Mind2 to summarize all of it. in maybe a couple sentences. It might take a bit of a time to reply, so I'll speed it up so you can see the end result. I would like to mention though that there will be some sluggishness when generating replies, or in the case of email summaries. While the Mind2 is equipped with an NPU, it is not yet enabled, and so everything is just running on the CPU. I'm just going to go ahead and copy paste here, provide a 2-sentence summary about the Venho 0.3.0 update. And let's go ahead and press enter. Well, I'm going to be honest, it just caught me mid-drink. I'm not going to bother editing that out because it was as quickly as it was. I was not expecting it to be as fast as that, but it is indeed providing a quick summary here, which is great. So that seemed to work out. It says the Venho 0.3.0 update includes significant improvements to the messaging center and mailbox services, as well as performance enhancements to document and data processing pipelines. The release also features various bug fixes, overhauls on the system's backend infrastructure, and refactored code to improve stability and build consistency. Yeah, I would say that's quite accurate. So with that all out of the way, I would say let's just go ahead and delete the document, right? I mean, we don't need to know anything more about the update. So I think we're all done here. So I'm gonna go ahead and just hover over the item. There appears to that checkbox. I select it. You know how deletion stuff works. I'm gonna click the delete button. I get a confirmation. I think if I had some feedback on here, I would probably put the confirmation button clear on the left-hand side. Maybe add some background colors like a danger background color like red or whatever to this, and maybe a green, or maybe their primary color, which is like a purple blue for the cancel button. But I mean, that's really just a nitpick, right? I mean, before this didn't even exist before this update, and now it does. I don't really have much room to complain. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And as you can see, instantly deleted, perfectly fine. Next thing I'm going to do is check out the messaging center. Now I have already set up an account. So if I go up here, you can see my Jolla Mind2 demo, and there's a little bug with the show archive functionality at the moment. So that's toggled on, but it doesn't actually show the emails that are marked as done. But if I toggle it off, you can see I have an example here. I'm not going to click on it because that would end up spoiling the functionality. But what I am going to do is just quickly show you what the setup process would be. Now, when you first set up an email account, you'll actually get a big call to action in the messaging center that you click on. And then it will take you to this exact same form. Now you could put in something like testmind2@gmail.com. And as you can see, while it is now confirming that this is valid, it doesn't pre-fill the IMAP and SMTP information. It would be nice in the future if it automatically did that, like so many email clients. So there's room for improvements there, but otherwise the process is really straightforward. You know, it might be that you need to put in testmind2 as your username instead of your full email. That could sometimes happen with iCloud, so just be aware of that. But otherwise, the process is as straightforward as using it with Thunderbird or any other mail clients. So I'm going to cancel out of this, and then I'm going to show what happens when I send it an email. So this is going to be a plain text email. Nothing too crazy, just a little bit of my script information. And we are going to send it now. Alrighty, so it has processed and it is currently generating a label for it. If we open up the message in a bit after it's processed it, we'll be able to see that it will have a summary at the top of the message, which will be quite handy. So I'm gonna just give it a few minutes to generate that label and generate a summary. This stuff would typically happen in the background. You know, imagine you have an email that arrives while you're asleep or something. You're not gonna care if it takes a couple minutes during your sleep to process, because by the time you wake up in the morning and you take a look, it's already going to be processed and ready for you to determine if you need to reply with something important or just immediately trash it. Alrighty, so it has processed it and provided the project label. As a point of feedback, I'd probably want to have the full summary, if it's not too long, of course, in the actual list item here. I might get an email I'm not sure if I'm interested in, so having the summary there to just save me some time and know I could just skip this, mark it as done immediately. I don't have to bother replying or even opening it. That would be kind of nice. But regardless, let's go ahead and open it up. And you can see we have a summary of the email on the top and our full body of the email below. So let's go ahead and read the summary. So it says the first over-the-air update for the Jolla Mind2 with Venho 0.3.0 has been released, and the author will cover its new features in an upcoming video. They will also demonstrate areas of the user experience that weren't fully functional during their previous first look review. I would say this was perfect. Not only did it summarize the actual content correctly, but it also was able to correctly infer based off the author of the email asking for their thoughts and opinions, or the thoughts and opinions of myself on the script, that the script isn't complete or that the video hasn't been produced yet, and therefore the author hasn't performed the actions of covering its new features yet. So it put this in future tense, and I would say that is a perfect summary. I would be able to easily understand that and reply. And speaking of replying, as you can see, it provides like a little skeleton loader here is what they're called, and then just says type message. I did ask the team about this, and prior to 0.3.0, a response would be generated for the email as well. However, the team noted that as part of the pipeline that generates this, it's been temporarily disabled because it resulted in email processing taking too long, and it would impact more important tasks. So they plan on re-enabling it once they have overhauled their task and queue system, but for now it's disabled. It's not a big deal. You'll just have to reply to yourself. But for now, that is a wrap on the first update. I have to say, from using it for a day or so now, it is substantially better than 0.2.0, which shipped on the consumer devices, or especially the early build that I was using when I was first handed the unit. So it'll be really great to see how it improves over the coming weeks and months. And if you like this video, be sure to leave a like. If you aren't subscribed, and I know a lot of you are, be sure to get subscribed to follow along with more updates. And also keep in mind that I am now daily driving the Jolla C2 with Sailfish OS 5. So if you're interested in knowing what an alternative mobile operating system is like and how it fares in 2025, keep an eye out for that. But that's it for today. Catch you on the next one.